But for now, like I've been telling the one who joined early, if you have a piece of paper, jot it down. At least you have the formula, you have an example in front of you. So tomorrow, when you see the problem, like, I know what to do with this one, all right? It's not difficult. It's just a matter of like, are you willing to put in some effort? Some of them is really basic and we can do it. There's no reason for you not to do anything and not get any credits, okay? So if you have been absent, I have videos. Do your best to follow. Ask questions along the way. I'm here. Just sometime if I don't check the chat fast enough, just let me know. It's okay. All right, so the first one that we are reviewing is permutation. How we know it's permutation is start with a P. For this type of problem, here is something that you want to pay attention. There's a P, is mean that stands for permutation, right? This is permutation. The formula that you're going to use is n factorial over n minus r factorial. I'm not going to give you that tomorrow. You got to know it, okay? You got to have it down somewhere. I will, whatever I'm doing right now, I'm recording it and I will upload to the document. You can find this in notes. It should say 6.4 review before summative. So you can find this as well, okay? What we're going to do is we identify which number is n, which number is r. The first one is n, the second number is r. And now it's just a matter of you plugging into the equation. So this is going to be 7 factorial over 7 minus r. So 7r is 7, so minus 7 as well. So here's the thing. If we simplify this one, it's over 0. 0 factorial is not 0. It's actually a 1. But I show you how to use decimal. If you go to the website, it's a graphing calculator website. You can use, this is an online tool that you can use as well. So here, I can go to decimal. I can type in the values. What is going on? I can zoom in. Something wrong. Let me type in the web page, decimal graphing calculator. Okay. So basically you just type in what you see. You have 7 factorial divide. If you want to, you can do is type in exactly what you have, 0 factorial. I have to type in the factorial. Okay, so now the answer is 5040. So I'm just going to put in here 5040. So this is permutation. This is the very first one that we did, is basic permutation. We're doing the same thing. Right here, same thing. We need to identify n and r. Is this something that you feel like more example, or are we okay? This when I got this. As long as I know it's permutation, as long as I have the formula in front of me, I can do it. How are you feeling with this objective? Are we good? Good? Okay. So I would write that if I were you, I'm gonna ask you to jot this down somewhere. Okay? Just put it somewhere. So you know this is the example. This problem, this is what I would have to do. Cool. If you was absent and you're not sure how to type it in, like, Miss Wynn, what is that symbol? It's the exclamation. It's called factorial. And we'll talk more about that. I can catch you on with that. Okay. Then I think this is very basic. We can move on. The next objective that I want you to look at. This is the practice that I will, after I'm done with notes, I'll turn on like student page that you can go back and do these practice. All right. But for now, we will look at the second objective, which is combination. So this one is called combination. Notice the difference. You see how the other one is a P, this one is a C. So the formula for combination is different. It's n factorial over n minus r factorial r factorial. All right, so the one thing different is that now you have the r attached to it. So it's really similar to permutation, but you need to have r factorial, which is some of you, from what I noticed from your practice, is you miss that, okay? So the same thing, n is the first values, r is the second. We can do this. 14 factorial over n is 14 minus r, which is 8, times r factorial, which is 8 as well. So you're just going to simplify this. 14 minus 8 give you 6. When you type this in your calculator, if you're using a calculator, make sure that you put a parenthesis around 6 factorial and 8 factorial. Okay? So that's, if you don't do that parenthesis, it's going to give you something else, not going to match with what I have. So again, I'm going to use my decimal 14. You need to clear this one. 14 factorial over 6 factorial 8 factorial. And that gave me 3003. So that would be 3003. So this is combination. So we have two type of permutation that we looked. These are the basic one. You plug it in, you recognize which one is which, make sure you use the right formula, otherwise it's gonna be a problem. So I'll give you a minute to ask question. Is this something I need to do another example? Like Ms. Nguyen, I got it. Or how do you type it in? Just I'll pause for questions, okay? And let me know, put in the chat, where are you with this? This is the third type's problem. Not really a third type, but it's more like a third formula that you're gonna use for tomorrow. This one, they gave you a word of something. So n factorial over, this is the one that you multiply with all the combination at the bottom. So n of 1, n of 2, and then you multiply for all of them. For this one, you don't subtract anything. You don't subtract the n and the r. You don't know, you know the n, but you don't do anything with the r because they take all of them. Okay, so here's a step that I'm taking for this problem. It's been a while. So step number 1, I'm looking for n. N is the total letters that I have. So I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6 letters total. Step number 2, I go back and I'm counting how many letters. For each letter, how many of those? For example, letter A. I have only one A. This what I would do. I would cross it out because I'm already count 8. Okay. Then I will move on to N. Look at N. I have only one N. Then for G, I have only one G. That's how I came up with the number. I'm counting how many that I have. Okay. So L is 1. E is also 1. S is also 1. So for this problem, all of them are just as a single letter. I'm counting this as one of each. So here's how I'm solving this one. N, I have 6 of them, so n factorial. For each of these number, I'm using the number that I have, so it's going to be 1 factorial, 1 factorial, 1 factorial. And I use all of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. We also know that 1 factorial is just 1. So this one is basically 6 factorial, which I can put in my calculator. 6 factorial, give me 720. I'm going to pause for you to ask question for this one because I think this one can be confusing. And I've found some of you make a mistake. It's not quite straightforward at the other two. So I'm going to pause for questions. Okay, so what I would do, I'm going to do number 3. No, not number 3, 31. So again, this is the form that I'm using when I run into letters. N of 1 factorial, N of 2 factorial, N sub k factorial. Okay, so step number 1, I'm going to identify N. How many letters do I have all total? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to count for each letter. I have S, 1S. So that would be number 1. I'm looking at W. There's 1 W. But if I look at I have 2 I. So notice I cross out the I as I count. So I'm list out at 2. M, there are 2 M. So I list out there's 2 M's. There's 1 N. And there's 1 G. So when you plug this in the equation, you don't have to list out the 1 because 1 factorial is just 1. So you don't really have to list it out. This is what you can do. You can put N as factorial. Now, I'm only list the one that's bigger than 1, so I don't have to do the 1 on the bottom. You can. Totally you can do it. It just take up space because 1 factorial is not going to give you anything. So here I have is 2 factorial and 2 factorial. That is okay for you to do it. I would do it myself because I don't want to list out the other 1. But for some of you, if like list out the 1 to make sure that you like, I feel comfortable doing that, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It's correct. So when you put in decimal, again, same thing. 8 factorial. Whoops, I need to clear this. 8 factorial over 2 factorial, and there's another 2. So you type it exactly how you see it. And you have the answer was 10,080. 10,000, whoops. Is that, sorry, not 10,000. Yeah, 10,080. 10,080. Okay. So this is permutation for word problems. Okay, so permutation is n factorial over n minus r factorial. And I will tell you, use permutation. This is permutation. Or you look at the objective, it will tell you it's permutation. I'm not asking you to identify anything. You don't have to. I let you know. Okay? So here is the thing. When you run into a word problem, you know that you need to know n and r. So we need to identify n and r, then plug into the formula, and then the rest should be okay, right? N is a total. R is how many you take away. So in here, the n is always the one that's bigger than r or equal to r, but n should be the bigger values. That's something you want to make mental notes for tomorrow. N should be the bigger values, right? So in here, the problem is saying a team of 15 lacrosse players needs to choose a captain and co-captain. So I'm going to check in to see if you guys still here, and that's what we're going to do for this week. If we're in remote, I will ask sometime. I'm asking you to put in the chat to see if you're here. If you are ghosting, that means you log in and you gone somewhere, you're not paying attention. I will have to like go back and check. So we look at number 43 right now. Please tell me what is N and what is R. So just quickly typed it in, put in the chat. I think it's faster that way. For me to check, not in Paradox, just put it in here. So N and R, you can do directly to me or to everyone if you don't mind. If you feel like I don't want people to see my answer, then just directly to me, okay? All right, that is good for the one that's sharing with me. If you are here, I expect you to type in answers so I know that you are here. It's more like participant points for you. You notice I give you point every day, so this is how I check in worked, okay? So even though you're like, oh, somebody else already gave the answer, that is fine. I want you to type in as well. It's your point. It's my check-in, okay? All right, Nolan, welcome. There's a link for a pair deck if you can join. All right, thank you. So we know N is 15 because there's 15 players, and they only want a captain and co-captain, so that's 2. Good. So N factorial over N minus R, so 15 minus 2. Why did I put N on the top? I don't know. 15, so 15 factorial over 13. And now I'm just going to type this into decimal. 15 factorial. Okay, my screen just froze, so give me 1 second. Divide by 13 factorial, give you 210. Okay. Is that what you got? Is that what you have? If you test it, put in decimal yourself. Is that what you got, or you got something else? Let me know. Any question for me? All right, Stephanie, I'll share the link in the chat for you if you can just join. Do we need another example? This is permutation. If you can do a permutation, you know how to plug into, if you can do the basic one, the only problem with word is that you need to know which one is N and which one is R, then plug it in, okay? For number 44, yeah, for number 44, yes, N is 25. The R is not quite clear, but they say top 3. They only want a top 3, so they want 3 people. So R would be 3. Yeah. So 25 minus 3 factorial, 25 factorial over 22. And then you can plug it into the calculator or in decimal. That will give you the answer. Yes. It's important you recognize N and R. So that's permutation for words. What we're going to do right now is we look at combination. We're going to do one more, and then we're going to have Kahoot for you to practice, just so that you can check in like, I got it, or no, I need to see Miss Nguyen for help, okay? So like a quick check-in. This document I will turn into student pace for you at the end, so if you need extra practice, you can do it. Okay, combination. Combination, when you use a different formula, is not the same as permutation. So for tomorrow, make sure that you have this down somewhere. Okay, same thing. You need to identify your N. N is a total, R is part of it. Select in which 10 players will be in the battle of the order on the 11-person team, right? So if you have 11-person team, the N should be 11 people, but you only select 10. Once you identify N and R, plug into this equation. Should be simple for some of us. Some, if you're not sure, let me know. 11 minus 10 factorial, 10 factorial. So this is 1 factorial and 10 factorial. Okay. And then you can put that in your calculator, or you can do decimal. You should have an answer. For me, I keep telling you guys that I refer decimals. In this case, because decimal, I can type in the values much faster. Okay. The answer for this one is just 11. Combination 50, again, I need to know my N, which is I have 30 people. Take the elevator. They will go in a group of 8. So there's 30 people. Each time they go in the group of 8, so that would be my R, 32 factorial, 32 minus 8. 8 factorial, so that would be 30. This is what I saw some of you write. When you do this, if this is symbol you use, you want to put a parenthesis around that. If you don't put this parenthesis right here, the calculator will read it wrong, and I will not give you full credit. I've been making comments on Paddock and tell you if you're gonna write, either you do a fraction horizontal like I did up here. If you do a flashlight like that, make sure you put parentheses for the denominator. Okay.